Do Americans actually think their country is the greatest country? The belief varies. I don't think so. Many do. I think it's better to count my blessings in the good that's here, while also keeping clear sight of all the bad. Some people blindly believe it's the best though. I'm a Canadian, and I was in the States for work about 6 years ago. I met some lovely people there, and we went out for dinner one night. Of course everyone wanted to ask me about Canada, and the differences with the States. To their surprise, there were a lot of similarities. They honestly believed we lived in a bunch of tiny towns, with lots of log cabins. After explaining healthcare, and some other perks of being Canadian, one of them responded, "I know we got a lot of problems here, but this is the greatest country in the world." Quote. Everyone one by one started agreeing, and became a little condescending towards me after that. This kind of thing has happened multiple times to me while visiting the States. Not to answer a question with a question, but do people from other countries think their country is the best? Some Americans think America is the only country in the world. The ones who do, believe it all the way. Rich Americans probably do. It depends on the basis of perceived greatness. When it comes to technology and entertainment, it is arguably the greatest importer of those two fields across the world. Apple, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Facebook are founded by Americans. Same goes with Disney, Netflix, Warner Media, and NBC Universal. They're the industry leaders who shape the world's pop culture. And then there's the military, a superpower on their own right. When it comes to equality, public safety, and healthcare among various things, most probably not. At the end of the day, some will argue against and for its greatness. But I think it's safe to assume that it is, at the very least, one of the greatest countries in the world today, relatively compared to other nations which are all, like the US, are imperfect. This thread is like non-Americans playing American stereotype bingo. Lived in the US most of my life, and Netherlands for the last 5 years. My father still thinks I live in Denmark. I don't know whether he's trolling me anymore or not. Lol. There are some Americans who think the US is the best place in the world. But I don't know if it's really the norm, either. If I had to guess, I would say maybe 2/10 people that are usually evangelical Christians. One once asked me whether going to the Netherlands made me grateful for clean water. Fascinatingly, this is not to say that the other side is all that well informed either. I have seen quite some Democrats that seem to have the idea that Western Europe is a socialist utopia where healthcare and university are free and amazing, and that America is so backwards and racist the Netherlands is a beautiful country. But it's not some holy land either. Healthcare is not free. There's a monthly premium and a deductible, which I use every year. University is not free for most people. Personally, have seen more racism here than in the US by far. My neighbor said that she's no longer surprised to hear people shout, "ape, monkey," at her in public. When I was younger, sure, I was indoctrinated to believe so. I don't anymore as an adult. America was definitely the best place to be after WW2. Europe was decimated and the US had no competition economically. America is definitely in decline. Education system varies so much state by state that a huge part of the population goes up completely misinformed. Its lawmakers are legally bribed and work for corporations and their donors. First people come. Second, it spends stupid amounts on military. All the while tens of millions go by without health coverage. The list is long. It's not the greatest country. Not even close. Best at what? As an Asian American and child of immigrants, I've thought about what other countries I'd rather live in. Definitely not continental Europe, where there's a lot of casual racism that makes me uncomfortable. And definitely not China, which I think is a low-trust society that doesn't suit my personality. Hong Kong or Taiwan would have been on my list 5 years ago. But proximity to China makes me uncomfortable. I could see England or Canada or Australia working. Enough cultural similarity with the US. And where they seem to treat non-white people pretty well. But in the end, the cultural differences between American cities, much less between the cities and the suburbs and the small towns and the rural areas, means that I was able to find a community that works for me. In a fairly international city. Took me over a decade of sampling different places and jobs. But I found it. The US works for me. Americans who believe that don't believe that because they think our quality of life is better. They believe that because they simply don't give a crap about other countries. I don't. Most of the people I hang out with do not. I think it is a really good country with failings just like every country has. Having lived in other countries, I think America has its pros and cons. But I generally thought Japan was a cleaner and more polite place. England had way more cool historical sites and better climate for me. Ireland had way more friendly people. Also, only in Japan did I experience racism. But in America I've had many racist incidents. In terms of actions, I'd rather live under an American hegemony where at least people can speak up and criticize what's wrong with the government than under a more malicious nation's hegemony who would just throw you in jail or worse. The USA is considered to have a third world healthcare system. Hard nationalism is a staple in American communities. It is one of the greatest countries in the world. No country in the world can claim to be the greatest, but you can claim to be a great one. It's not much, but it's mine. The US has great economic opportunity. My friend in Lithuania is an attorney and makes €2,000 per month. $2,232. She has 2 degrees. I'm a truck driver and make triple what she makes. I have no degrees. That's what the US has that others don't. I would ask this on a platform that isn't Reddit. Everyone on here swears that America is the Soviet Union and the sky constantly squirts out acid rain.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Aircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.